Morning. Let's talk everything handstand push-up.
Things like the handstand push-up or the pressed handstand just feel impossible until you do it once, until you find that moment where you are in the right position and it just flies up and you're like, oh, that's how it's done. In today's video, I kind of want to just break down all of the different techniques and exercises that I like to use to overcome this hurdle and go from 1 to 5+ reps of a handstand push-up.
To do that, I've got an upper body session I'm training here, the tree of choice behind me. I've got pre-workout, aka coffee, and yeah, let's get warmed up.
So this video is mainly focused around the skill, technical aspect of achieving the handstand push-up. I would be remiss not to mention that it's worth just being able to perform reps. So I'm going to give you 2 benchmarks to work towards. The first is being able to perform the L handstand push-up for 12, maybe 15 reps. This is with the feet starting at hip height. And the second would kind of be to be able to perform at least 3 chest to wall handstand push-ups. 5 might be more ideal, but 3 is going to be plenty of strength. This is your basic, less skill-focused development.
I will link some videos that might be useful in regards to that down below. But what will determine how easy you find the handstand push-up is the technique that you use and how you put together the pieces to train it.
Now, for most people, this is simply because they don't come far forward enough in their handstand push-up. They think about handstand push-up as an up and down movement, like an elevator, whereas in fact, it is more of a diagonal up and down motion, more like an escalator.
This is going to vary depending on the anatomy of your body. I'm 6'4", I got very long arms. I have to shift a lot further forward in my handstand push-up than somebody who has short arms, who can do something that actually does look a little bit more like an up and down movement. The one thing that doesn't change is in that bottom position, you're trying to create this nice, strong, stable foundation of a triangle between your head and hands. Another way to think about this is that your elbows kind of want to always remain vertical because that's going to be the most advantageous position to apply force. If they start to drop backwards, you end up just shifting a lot of weight onto the triceps and it's going to make the movement just that much harder. Figuring this out is kind of the hard bit. I do have a few options for you. Number one, probably the hardest, is going to be a negative handstand. This one I would aim to make the reps last like 6 to 10 seconds and really focus on just trying to control it. Alternatively, you can try to perform isometric holds. So that would be like trying to kick up into a bent arm handstand position. It's going to help you understand to actually maintain balance. Entry level is the pike push-up plus, and then trying to feel the weight lift from the feet and into the hands. So we're basically holding the bottom of a handstand push-up, but just the legs are bent and it's a little bit easier to get into.
These all make the assumption that you have a solid handstand. Just like strength, if you lack the basics of balance, then handstand push-up is just a waste of time. I'll link to a full handstand tutorial below to help you out, but you can always perform these movements with a wall as a spotter until your balance catches up.
Now, I've titled this chapter Solving the Puzzle, and the solution does vary for everyone. These 3 drills are quite obvious, quite simple, and they help you to understand where you need to be positioned. It ultimately isn't going to get you the handstand push-up by itself. So I've got a couple more drills that might be that piece of the puzzle for you.
And I think that part of the puzzle is the transition from de-acceleration to acceleration. We need to understand how to reverse it and start getting movement in the opposite direction.
One of my favorite drills for this is the dead stop headstand push-up. So basically starting from a headstand and then trying to learn how to explode out of that bottom position. I have actually got an entire video teaching this particular drill and the techniques for it, so I will share that down below. But one of the key aspects that it teaches is this element of heel drive. We've traveled down and forward, and if we just try to push, ultimately this ends up shooting our feet backwards. Here we need to understand about how to pull the heels up, back over ourselves into that balanced position.
Now, the other aspect is partials, and I think half reps get a bad rep. Ultimately, they're super useful for figuring out these movements, a target, something to lower to. Even if it looks comically small initially, just gets you understanding how to shift that weight as you lower down and shift it back into handstand, that pulling back out again. So one little detail which I think people don't necessarily think about is hand width, because a lot of people will go very wide, 1.5 times shoulder width, thinking that it reduces the range of motion, it makes the life a little bit easier. I've actually gone much narrower, kind of just shoulder width. It's made my handstand push-up much more stable and much stronger, because I'm in a better position to be externally rotated and then apply force.
And applying is the hard bit, specifically how you put this into a program. Before I give you some examples for that, I want to mention why I'm training in a field.
One of the reasons I love calisthenics is that you can get outside in nature. I like to train quote unquote naturally. And the obvious choice for that is Vivobarefoot, allowing your foot to actually move and twist over the terrain like, you know, it's supposed to. I've used them since 2017 and they're basically the only shoe that I wear these days. So if you want to go grab yourself a pair, then I've got a nice discount code for you in the description. It helps me out, you save some money, and you get a great pair of shoes. Right, let's jump back into the session. So I'm just sat here on my rest thinking, is there anything I've missed? Having loads and loads of drills that you do kind of averagely isn't going to create the best improvement. I would much rather see somebody really dial in, find that piece of the puzzle for you, and really work on it, really like master that drill. Speaking of which, how do we apply this going forward? So first and foremost, you need to train it at least twice per week. I would say for most people, this is going to work out best. I kind of learned this the hard way this year. I made some really good progress training it twice per week at the beginning of the year. Thought I'd start adding in some other skills like style to press, and that progress just stagnated. Training is specific adaptation to imposed demands. Be specific, be focused, twice per week, covers that skill aspect. Potentially more, but not needed. Next is cover both rep brackets. Just because you're training handstand push-up doesn't mean that everything you now do needs to be like 1 to 5 repetitions. Do your primary work, do your handstand progression, whichever you need to work on. Make sure you back that up with getting the reps in. Do some higher rep stuff, 8, 10, 12, 15 reps, pike push-ups or push-ups. Something that's gonna keep that volume there to help you progress and still get stronger. That's probably the biggest battle when you're only able to do 1 or 2 reps or something, is just getting enough volume in. One of my favorite techniques to go from being able to do like 1 or 2 reps or something to like 5 or 6 is the idea of increasing density. There's 2 concepts here. Number 1, EMOM, every minute on the minute, I think is a fantastic to increase the volume and also increase endurance in high intensity movement. Basically a handstand push-up, you do it on the minute, you do it every minute. You do it as many minutes as you can do, starting on maybe 10, trying to work up to like 20, 25 minutes, just being able to sustain those amounts of reps. Next we have clusters. We split maybe that set of 5, but we're gonna add 10 to 20 seconds rest between each of those repetitions. We take a normal rest afterwards, but we're just trying to increase the density. It's a really valuable and powerful technique when you apply it well. So there's a lot of theory in today's video, and what I'd really love to encourage people to do is just to go away and apply it. Like try some bits out, have some skin in the game. If you do want a hand on applying it, obviously we've got the previous examples in this video. You can also check out my app, which is here. In there, skill strength is focused on handstand push-up, one arm chin up, planche and front lever, and there is a specific handstand push-up program which should be coming very shortly, if not might be out right now, depending on when you're watching this video. Other than that, let me know in the comment section down below if you have any more questions. I'll do my best to address them in thumbs up button, subscribe so you don't miss that one or any other future videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have a strong week.